Hello, everybody. We are live. Welcome. If you're watching this in post, also welcome. I wanted to do this because we ended up, not this weekend just gone, but the weekend before that, we ended up running the second largest tournament in Australia, which is kind of wild. We actually got classed by Goonhammer as a major, not as a GT, which is really, really cool. Ty Traveller, hello, welcome. So I wanted to do like a little breakdown of the GT, talk about, like, show some photos, some things that I really enjoyed or did well, things that I need to improve on, some impressions of being a first-time TO, going from that, like high-level competitive player to actually running events, and then just talk about, like, some of the pairings, some of the rounds and how they happen, maybe a little bit of the drama, I don't know. And then afterwards talk about the list that I took and won an event just this last weekend gone. I, spoiler alert, went very, very heavy into crisis suits, and what a surprise, they did very well. So let's get in and let's actually start having a chat. I think let's go through some media. Let's go through the media first, because there was some really cool stuff. Like, obviously, there was the prize support, the raffle, and everything. Here was the entrance to the venue, which was really, really cool. So, actually, I think my camera's doing something weird there. Let's just take that way. There we go. Yeah, so we had all of the patrons up for everybody sort of going past. On the right of, on the left for viewers' perspective of my wife was Gracie, who worked for the RSL, and the RSL actually was really, really amazing in terms of staff and everything they did. Like, I'll show you guys a little bit on. They did a whole bunch of like custom cocktails for us, which was really cool. And then I had my best friend Rachel, who was also helping out on the day. And yeah, we just had like a bunch of stuff. Obviously, there's the thumbnail that I put up for stupidity. Mushu, you can get up here. We made you a little ramp. Sorry, everybody. I'm going to get my dog up here because he's going nuts. Okay, Moosh, up. Oh, okay. You know what? He got desexed recently, so I've actually taken leave from work, which is why I'm able to do this, like, in actual work hours. Because my little man, he's trekking on, but he's also needing a little bit of extra care. So, all right, lie down. He's just up on my desk right now. Okay, so, yes, there's me in front of the banner. Where was some other stuff? Where were some good things? Obviously, we had people doing bingo, which the bingo actually turned out quite well. Of course. 2 seconds, wife is at work, I will be back. Don't go anywhere. Okay, apologies everybody, and Kyle, yeah, it absolutely was an amazing weekend. I love Gracie, she's great quality. So just a little bit of Chad Mech on Knob Action. What else do we have? Where were some other good ones? Chris O'Neill, which is one of mine for the Pantheon GT, for the team, the Pantheon. He won the bingo in the first goddamn round. Of course, this man who cannot roll anything but sixes surprisingly lost his first round because he went into Gary Morris's Votan, and he was playing a very, very, very off-meta pressure AdMech list. And he ticked off everything, like round one, and it was corroborated by other people. One of the fun things, and I don't know, do I have it in this folder? I don't. I'll have to bring it up and actually, I posted somewhere. There were two things that you had to do for the event to tick off your bingo. You had to, one, go to Chris, rub his head for good luck right before a dice roll. And the other one was kneel before Pat Spooner, who is a living, walking knight, like the biggest dude in existence. This photo isn't exactly representative of him, but even just like he's in the foreground, he's in the background. Look at the difference. And like Michael House is not a short dude. And so, yeah, so you had to kneel before Pat and yell, hail to the God Engine. Mushu, no licking, please. Hey, excuse me. No licking. Yeah, I know you're cute. All right, let's get him up so everybody can have a look. Masui Mouse. I did have a great GT. Hey, you want to say hello to everybody? Hello, everyone. Hello. I lost my balls because Mummy made me. She's gonna hate me for making that joke. All right, so so everybody had to kneel before Pat and yell "Hail to the God Engine." We did it at the start for anybody who just wanted to tick it off straight away, and we got a video of everybody doing it. It was actually really awesome. All right, Moosh, you got to let me scroll this mouse, bud. We also had, and this was really cool, Pat's partner, Annie, who's one of my favorite people in the world. She was actually posted up to the side playing Baldur's Gate 3. And so in between TOing, I was actually able to go and like have a chat with her because obviously, like you would have seen, I've done a couple of live streams of VG3. I love me some D&D and that game is incredible. So I actually got to go and like have some nerd chats with her. All right, down you go, little one. You're all right. So yeah, and then there were a couple of like other little walkarounds that I did. Chell and I went and got. There was the cocktails. That was the Pantheon shot, which is like it was all of the colors as a layered drink. Yeah, obviously if you mix it up, it becomes quite murky, but like the liquids actually settle into their own place, sort of to represent the colors of the Celtic knot, which is on the front of the shirt. I think there was a video of us doing it. I'll play this for you guys now. I'll mute myself and we'll play it. So yeah, and then we also had a video of some of the other boys doing that. I don't think this got uploaded to this particular folder, but those boys did it. That's Cress and Alex Rimmel. You can see Jack Blanche furiously placing stuff in the background. I think that was round 4, round 5, but like this is the stuff they did up. Now I do have one gripe. The RSL was incredible, and this isn't their fault, but Commander Farsight had the Imperial Aquila put above him, and I'm pretty sure that's some strict fucking heresy. That is some incredible heresy. But we had the 3 major teams that were at the event, Knobs, TNS, and the Pantheon, obviously because it's my own. We had our own drinks. The TNS shot, because it's Team No Salt, or there's a bunch of other names that they get for their team. It was a tequila shot where Team No Salt, you have to lick the salt, take the shot, and then hit the lemon or the lime. And the Knobs drink actually was my standout for the weekend. It was really, really good. So, like, the Pantheon shot, liquor 43, Maduri, and Grenadine, and it actually separated. We had Reptar as a shot, which was incredible. Matthew Collins, yeah, this was the event I was talking about last video. I will go through and I'll try and answer all of the chats as we're going. But, yeah, so the Reptar one... that one wasn't Chell's favorite, mostly because she's not big on pineapple juice. When you got Blue Alizé, Malibu pineapple juice, and the Maraschino cherry, I'm not too huge on, I'll be honest. But the drink itself was really, really great. The Commander Farsight was a really great one. Obviously, this one, you've got to be a fan of bourbon to really get the most out of it, but Farsight was really good. I love the picture as well. Just TNS is this, like, old, disheveled lady who's taken mad sort of shots. And then the Knobs drink, vodka, blue Caracao or Carasau, or however you say it, cranberry juice, blueberry, and lemonade. It was amazing. I think that's probably the drink I pounded the most across the weekend. And then, yeah, just like a picture of some of the tables that I got. This was actually Feud and Chris O'Neill in round, I want to say round 4. But, you know, Chris running a ton of the party buses. We had Feud on his Death Guard with a bunch of Plague Burst Crawlers, Morty, his Land Raider, which actually, funnily enough, I'll go into... he submitted his Land Raider that his daughter helped him paint, and that actually won Worst Painted for the opt-in only sort of prize, which was really, really cool. We had a bunch of other Best Painted, which I'll go through. Big special mention to Nathan Princey's Bumblebee Chaos Knight, which was really great. So we had a ton of fun. It was a really great event. We had some of the first place, second place, third place hammers, as well as the little the wooden spoon got like a tiny little hammer. You could barely hold it in 2 fingers, and I thought that was actually really, really funny. So that was the startings of the event. Now, all of the raffle stuff, you might have seen I put out a post that I've had to push back the draw of the raffle. If you would like to get a ticket to the raffle, because this can be for anybody international or whatever, if you don't live in Australia, though, you will have to pay shipping. I can't absorb that cost on like the Leviathan box and the Magnature case, which is like 2 of the probably the most highly sought after stuff. Everybody's been, kind of like there are some people who are interested in demons, but these 2 have been kind of the big ticket. And of course my brain is forgetting people's names now. But there was a guy last year who won the Magnature case. It was a CrewCon, which was held at the same event, run by Alex, who helped me set this up. He's a coach for Art of War. And now he won that Magnature case, and now he's got his eyes set on this one because he wants to do it 2 years in a row. But if you are looking for that, head to my brand new website, where pantheonstudios.com.au, where we have all of the merch items. We got like LED mouse pads. Chell set this whole thing up. She made every single one of these. Hoodies, skirts, socks, everything. And you'll be looking for the Leviathan raffle ticket, which is right there. So $10 Australian per ticket. You go into the draw. There's no upper limit on how many you can get, but obviously that's a look at the inside of the Magnature case, which is basically like magnetic trays. So if you're interested, head to the website. It's down in the description. But let's get into the actual GT itself, because accidentally running the second biggest tournament in Australia was wild. I'll say that. And there was a lot of positivity that came out of it. I didn't have anybody. There was one specific piece of negative feedback, but it wasn't even like hey, you fucked this up. I was just, and I've mentioned this in my improvements, is pairing metrics. That's something that I definitely want to get better at. And I'll talk about that when we get to it. But just some initial thoughts that I kind of jotted down. The good stuff that I was really happy with was the level of prize support. We had like 25 individual categories of prizes. So you obviously had your top 3. They split $1,000 between them. Obviously the most going to first place. But we also had, last place, second last, third last, middle of the pack, best painted, worst painted, 2 for community spirit, which was basically like the whole GT. I ran on like a hard line sportsmanship, fair play, ethics, integrity, and all that sort of stuff. And it was something that I got a really, really good sort of reception from all of the players, because across my first year of 40K, I had probably the worst run I think I've heard of from like any of the boys that I chat to or whatever else, where like I had a dude follow me to my car, almost punched on with a dude who was just getting irate. Like I watched a grown-ass man throw a friggin' tantrum. And so it's really shaped how I become now, where a lot of the time I don't care if I leave a table winning or losing. I care if I had a good experience and I played against somebody who, I don't even have to like them as a person, but that there was a respect there at the table. There was integrity in the way that they played. And if they beat me, it was because they made better decisions and just, or even if we both made good decisions, just the dice roll decided who walked away with it. Like those sort of things I'm absolutely fine with. Like every player there, like we had a couple of snafus in round 1. And after I had to kind of like, it's not quite yelling, but I am naturally a very loud person. So a lot of people can take it as, Big Angry Jay, the teacher, got up and accosted everybody, which was necessary. And after that, everybody was basically perfect. There was only one other thing that I can think of that was a talking point. But just the amount of people who would own up to mistakes that they made, try and make it right with their opponent. Because at the end of the day, it is a very complex game. Like there is nobody who is going to play 100% perfect, no mistakes, no misinterpretations, whatever, all the time. And that, in my opinion, shouldn't be the expectation. The expectation should be that you do the absolute best that you can. If you're unsure, you look up rules, you whatever. And if you find a mistake, you take steps to make it right with your opponent. And then, winning should never supersede winning with integrity or losing with integrity, or, just the right thing being done. So that was really, really great. The prize support, I'm really happy with. I'd want to do that for all of my events going forward. Irresistible Force were incredible with that. They threw so much goddamn support at this event, as well as Art of War, which, Irresistible Force are down in the description. Art of War is thewarroom.com. Go and check those guys out for coaching and extra content and whatever else they are. Well, I mean, if you don't know who Art of War is, then, you're probably living under a rock. But, yeah, they were both really incredible organizations that helped make the event what it was. The second point was... actually, before I get into the second point, I will do chat, because we are scrolling super hard. Hope you had a great GT. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. I got a question and answer when it's convenient. But how did you get all the terrain needed? Currently, I supply tables for my club by bringing my own terrain. I'm fortunate I have enough disposable income to have a few tables worth of terrain and templates to bring. So, that's actually a very, very good point. You know how I was talking about those raffle tickets? The raffle is so that I can buy up enough terrain so that I don't have to borrow off anybody or rent or whatever else. So essentially what I did was rent the majority of tables from an organisation in New South Wales called Down Under 40K. They also have a circuit that people earned circuit points for competing in the GT, as well as ITC points. And essentially I rented off them, and then had... The Knobs organization were really amazing. Actually, Kyle, who's in the chat, organized a shitload of terrain, brought it, set it up, took it home, all that sort of thing, borrowed mats, basically just leveraged all of the connections and good relationships that I've built over, what are we on, a year and a half now of competitive 40K? And just... everybody's got a little bit. So as long as the bulk was taken care of, and I had to do a shitload of driving around to get that. A big shout out to Chris O'Neill, who's one of my players in the Pantheon. He drove like a collective probably 8 hours for me. Now, yes, he had other things that he was doing because he was visiting mates and everything else, and so it lined up a little bit, but also he didn't have to do that shit. He was really, really incredible, stayed behind to help me pack up and get everything ready and take it all back and everything. I literally could not have done it without those people. So the main answer to that question is having a great community with great people that are willing to help you out was the main way that I got that done. But the raffle tickets, I've got a guy who's got 35 tables that I can buy up. That is a 70-player GT right there. And then just use that to run events, try and make up the cost of the terrain through running events, maybe even hire it out to other people so that, because Down Under 40K, because they run events on such a broad level across Australia, like you would have seen the meme, drive for 5 hours across Europe and you've been to 4 different countries and, 3 capital cities and everything else. Drive for 5 hours in Australia and you haven't even remotely left the state yet. And it's kind of like that because they run a lot of different events in different places. Their terrain is quite spread and they just kind of make it work within their own internal organization. So I would actually love to have something where I can rent out to other people and just go, cool, here are 35 tables. This is the cost of it. If you want me to deliver it, I'll just hire a van, bring it all out, do that, and then pick it up, and just kind of go from there. So, yeah. Best drink had 10. And yeah, worst painted was really great. Ben, hello there. How you doing? Be kind to each other, man. It's just a game. Exactly. That is my exact goddamn thought. I cannot fathom the number of people that, for them, they have hinged their self-worth on whether they win games, and they will do anything they can to do it. And actually, I am one of the only TOs within New South Wales at the moment that has banned one of the most egregious players, who was the dude that chucked the goddamn tantrum at my last event. I had 3 run-ins with him. And I have had nothing but since that. You know how when you have something happen, other people that have had similar things, because mine was public, they come to you and they tell you their fucking horror stories. I've had that non-stop. And so I have actually banned this individual. I won't name them, but anybody in New South Wales knows exactly who I'm talking about. They have been banned from every GW store within Sydney. They And actually, I had a bunch of people come up to me, and this was a big, big positive of the weekend. A bunch of people that play down in like the Campbelltown area. I had about 12 brand new players who had like their first GT. And about, I think it was half of them or 3/4 of them said, I only signed up for this because you know who wasn't on your roster. And you were very outspoken about the fact that he would not be there. Normally, I don't go to GTs. And there were even a couple of the veteran players I didn't realize do the same thing I do, where we will check the roster of an event, and if his name's there, we just don't buy a ticket. Because we're like, fuck that, I don't want to be in the same room as him, let alone get paired into him and have, well, what happens happen. Fuck yeah, it looks like the event was a success. Thank you very much. It was overwhelmingly positively received, which is really fantastic. Basically, I and my buddy Justin purchased templates for 10 full tables. Likely, if I put a call out to our club members, I can get more to donate there. Yeah, absolutely. The community will generally always have it, and the community is always wanting more events because there's only, I can't speak for everybody else's area, but in Sydney, the most populous city in Australia, we have a good number of events, but there was still room for me to fit in a GT and have everybody keen to come, which was really great. I love you for that. Thank you. I appreciate it. Makes me sad that I'm in Canada and can't play at these tournaments. Hey, plane tickets exist. Just saying. So let's keep going through everything. The second point is hands-on TOing. I was non-fucking stop this entire weekend. I've heard about TOs that like basically say to players, don't ask me questions. If you can't work it out on your own, then you don't deserve to know. And I strongly disagree with that. I understand for people that it's not really their thing, being as extroverted as I am, and very hands-on. It's a little bit of holdover from my military background, where I have no problem walking around and kind of keeping an eye on things, being very active. I also love people coming up and having questions and everything else, because in my mind, if they're asking me, and this was reflected on the weekend, if they're asking me, they're not having an argument with their opponent, they're not kind of going, oh shit, like we're both new players, we don't really know, let's do something, and then it turns out afterwards that it massively favored one player over the other and it's not the done thing. If they're asking me, then the problem gets solved in 2 seconds and then we go from there. And I would like to think that almost every single one of my rulings was correct and accurate. I found out afterwards there was a ruling with an Astra Militarum player that I had misinterpreted the nature of the save. It's the order for the save characteristic. And so that one's on me, and that's feedback that I have asked all the players to give to me if there's anything there, because I also believe that I should be the best that I should be. If I'm asking people to give me money to come to an event and set all this up and do everything else, they're giving up their money and their time, and they're going through 5 games across a weekend, which can be very taxing. The least I can do is be the best that I can be. So yeah, not answering questions as a TO. What kind of arsehole runs a tourney to not help them? You would be surprised. You would be very surprised. Newer player here. I can't imagine how to safely transport my miniatures overseas. That is a hard one. Okay, so I'll talk about this before we keep going on, because I think that's get to the raffle and get the transport box. I appreciate the plug, Matt. I really do. Ben, Panth was easily the best part of the Triple GT run. Oh, thank you. That's really great. So basically what I did, because the largest tournament in Australia is Uprising, which is held in Adelaide. So what I did, I actually did have the Magnature case that I bought right at the start, because like a sponsorship with them was a no-brainer to do this raffle, because like I've been using their cases since I started. It was the first proper investment that I made into my 40k experience. And so what I would do is have the trays just laid down on the bottom. So I'd lay the actual case down on its back, and then I would bubble wrap the shit out of everything and pack it in, and then fill in any loose spaces with bubble wrap or butcher's paper. Put the front of the case back on, and then like we took it on a plane, absolutely no problem whatsoever. Because of the bubble wrap, your models aren't moving at all. And if there's anything which is a little bit like I had, because I was taking Votan last year for Uprising, the bikes came off because there was a tiny little connection point on the bottom of the base to the bottom of the bike. That came off, but I mean, super glue fixed everything. So really it was just sort of like accepting that some stuff might come loose or snap or whatever, but super glue, even you can get really thrifty with like some little metal inserts you can drill into the bottom of the model and then drill into the base, which will keep it a little bit stronger. But that's probably the best way that I would recommend to transport your models long distances on flights, car rides, whatever else. That's like inviting your buddies over to help build a deck and then not helping them build the deck and telling them just to figure it out. Yeah, kind of. I'll give it one of those. Hands-on TOing. This was probably the thing that made me go, yes, I want to run more of these, because I really loved, like, I'm the sort of person that enjoys being a go-to person. I enjoy being needed by the people around me. And it's why a lot of the time I will invest my own personal time into gaining expertise in particular things, because I love helping people out. It's the same reason I did a degree in psychology. Like, I have a bachelor's in psychology because I naturally had helper behaviors. Like, when we were coming back from Afghanistan, I was the person that a lot of the boys would go and talk to, because they would chat to me a lot, and one, knew they wouldn't get judgment, and two, knew that I wouldn't fuck it up and give them bad advice or whatever else, and that I would even just listen. Like, some people just need you to shut the fuck up and listen, you know? So, and I found the same sort of thing here, where it was very intense, it was very demanding, which I need from things. I get way too bored way too quickly if I master something. So this was really, really great. And obviously it feeds into the side hustle that I'm doing at the moment, and you know, with the world kind of going to shit, I like the idea that I have something else which stops me in Chelsea from having to sell my sweet supple body on the corner. You know, so yeah. Terrain density, I was very happy with. We went with 4 3-story ruins, 4 2-story ruins, and then a set of crates on each side of the table, which are stacked 2 high. That ended up being in different formats and different missions, because we played one of each of the deployment missions with variable modifiers, and that ended up being like really, really great to make sure that melee armies could stage, ranged armies had fire lanes, but nobody got anything for nothing. Like, a lot of the, aside from your home field objective, there were no buildings which were over the top of no man's land objectives or center objectives. So if you wanted to stand there and hold it, you needed to expose something, and that was a choice that you were making, but you had terrain close enough that you could, like, you know, have some of the units sitting in cover so that you can take, you know, cover saves on them and kill them forward towards the point, or just go, all right, you're going to kill my guy off the point. I don't really need it. I don't care. You kill in one activation 1 or 2 models. Cool. I pull them off the point. I'm now out of line of sight from the rest of your army. Cool. Because the first floor was blocked on every single ruin, and the 3-story ruins were fully blocked out. So you could stand on 2nd and 3rd floor and not be seen completely, which I think was a really good way to go. Another good sort of point was player reception to the GT values and code of conduct. I can take a hard line on a lot of different things, but I'm also never unfair or, you know, do things to an extreme. So where I took a hard line on, as I said, that particular player who is a known cheater and bully and all this sort of stuff, nobody should ever think that I am just going to start willy-nilly like banning and slapping people for any kind of mistakes. There were plenty of mistakes at the GT. But the difference was the players who made those mistakes tried to correct it and weren't doing something just because they could get away with it. They weren't intentionally doing it to get some benefit. And so, like, I don't believe, like, some cards had to be handed out based on the nature of the problem. But at the same time, those players just stood there and they were like, yep, I absolutely deserve that. I've fucked up. This is on me. Done. And that was as far as it needed to go. A lot of the time, warnings were as far as it needed to go, which was really great, because no event that you're going to run, in my opinion, is going to have nothing happen. Like, at the end of the day, you're putting 70 people into a room together for 2 days in a, you know, and this was and I've actually put this at the bottom, the level of competition. This was a friggin' Shark Tank. There were some of the best players in Australia that were here. The last round between the rank 1 Tyranids player, who's also an Art of War coach, against another Tyranids player who was on Team Australia. And end of last year's ITC season was the rank 1 Eldari player in the world. So You know, like we had a Shark Tank, and when you've got that kind of pressure on it, also having players that go, you know what, a code of conduct is important. Treating each other with respect is important, and I'm going to do that, means that you have the healthiest level of competition that you can ever have. So I was really happy about that. Really happy with the venue. I actually need to write a letter of thanks to the RSL because last week was a bit of a shit fight, hence having to push back the raffle. But the venue, the RSL, they were amazing. The cocktails that we had done up, where's the picture of those? Like all of these, I unfortunately got everything to them super last minute, and they still busted their asses to get these up, get the posters done, have the drinks made, all that sort of stuff. And then like the staff when we were there were just amazing, like actually amazing. So the RSL, I will absolutely be holding there again. Where was I looking here? So the venue, and on top of that, you look at some of the pictures here, look at the space that the players had. There were 2 or 3 tables to a row, and you could stand and spin with your arms out and never touch another human being. It was exactly what I want for 40k, where you're not inside each other's buttholes and smelling everything that's going on. Now, probably one thing I should put down there is that I'm going to say under improvements, let's just chuck this in. I'm going to put a note on hygiene. And this was brought up by a couple of people, and it's not something that I like to micromanage. But I do think that even with the room that we had, people focusing on their own personal hygiene is important because obviously at the end of the day, you're standing over a table for like 12 hours a day. Because we had 3-hour rounds and then everything in between, like, yeah, you need to make sure that you're showering and musking up and all that sort of stuff because, you know, be good to the people around you. We also had an insanely new player-friendly atmosphere. This is one of the biggest, commendations that I got from some of the players there, that it was their first GT. They were super, like I had one of the Knobs guys who provided all the bases, big shout out to Blake. He had some of his mates reach out and pass on to me that they were really sort of taken aback by how welcoming the tournament community was. And I take a lot of pride in that because I know that that was inadvertently or directly a result of things that I was sort of pushing for the atmosphere of the GT. That's how it was going to be run. That's how we were going to treat people. And it meant that new players had this really, really easy in to, you know, to getting into the tournament scene, meeting people and doing all that sort of stuff. And as well as being a TO that they could come up and chat to anytime, answer any questions, run them through whatever they needed to. And yeah, so I was really happy with that. And I've already mentioned the level of competition. Like, we had just some top fucking tier 40k. It was great. I don't think I could be happier. The only thing that I would like to do is court some of the more interstate guys to come down. I think with a little bit of extra prep, I'll be able to do that. Because this one ran too close to the Oceanic Championship circuit. Or the championship event that happened the week after. This weekend just gone. So I think without that event so close, I'm able to get people from Queensland and Victoria and ACT and everything else, and get some more of those like Team Australia people that are coming down. Now, moving on to the improvements. So, no, I should have just tripled the play count so I could be in someone's butthole. I mean, there are places you can go to do that. You can still pay to have that done. It just probably won't be 40k, though I don't think they'll mind if you bring the models anyway. So the biggest point of improvement for me was pairing metrics. Now, the way that I did it, and I'll go into this, pairings were done based on wins and then BP and then the other metrics below it. Now, where this becomes a problem is that we had Nathan Princi went into the last round undefeated, went down to the number 2 guy, Liam Ma, who, by the way, I headhunted for Team Pantheon. Let's go. And then he dropped in the placings to 8th. And I've had this happen to me a ton, where I've had an undefeated run, I lose one game right at the end to the person who comes first or comes second or whatever else, and then I drop down to not even being in contention for a podium. And I think that's shit. I think that he should have ended up at a minimum 4th. So the undefeated guys are up here, and the 2 guys that went undefeated at the end of it share this spot. So it'll either be podding people. So Ben said correctly, the solution is pods around 5. Yes. And that feeds into another point of stuff that I had, which was learning BCP better. Obviously, I had a bit of a learning curve. I had Alex Englezos there to help me out. I had Benny Way from Down Under 40K send me a message and say, hey, if you need anything, hit me up. And luckily, I didn't need to lean on that, and Ben could just enjoy his weekend. But I definitely need to get better than that, better than I was. But, you know, for first event, I wasn't expecting to completely knock it out of the park and not have anything that I could improve. I think that'd be incredibly cocky for a person to think that they would. So that's something that I'll get better at. I think the way that I will go will probably be like wins, strength of schedule, path to victory, and then BP after that. As well as looking at potting people for round 5. So that when you, like if you crushed it early on or you versed people who really nailed their other games, you rank higher than the people who were seal clubbing. Because that's exactly the way it should be. There is no way that you should get a podium place by just smacking players that didn't get better than didn't even crack the top 20. Which can happen at certain events. So that'll be something that I'll be doing. Owning my own terrain setup and pack up was rough. It was really rough. And mostly because I had 3 different places, majoritively, as well as little bits here and there that I needed to keep track of and keep separate so there wasn't cross-contamination. If it's all mine, it just goes back in the tubs. Tubs go in the van. Boom, we're out. We're done. And obviously, it's still fairly physical, but plenty of players were happy to pack up their tables at the end of the event. And doing it well, you just are active in that 5th round, getting tables packed up, mats put away, tables packed up, blah, 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 blah. And getting everything so that the pack up of the van takes 1 or 2 extra hands and you're done. The other thing I would like to do better is pre-event content. I underestimated just how much I would have to do, and while I'm happy that I did it, because this event, in my opinion, was very well organized. We had a lot of stuff for players. A lot of stuff. It wasn't just show up, put your models on the table, go. We had a bunch of extra things that we had to do. Unfortunately, that meant the content, including my career, which can be quite demanding, I didn't have enough time to put out the pre-event videos that I would like to. Now, one of the big points of, my brain keeps going sustain because that's, something from the army. But just the things that I will do the exact same for my next events is that people really liked having me go through the players pack in a video, go through the terrain pack in a video, go through expectations. And you would have seen, and I was really unhappy. And this is something that, this pre-event content, I released a video that was talking about accidental cheating stuff. I had to re-record that 3 times because the audio, for whatever reason on those microphones that I bought, were only going mono channel, which meant if you were listening in headphones or on your phone, it was really noticeable that it was coming through one sort of side. And it was also, and I guess it's because the microphones maybe start going and I need to look into warranty, the audio was spiking super hard on my voice. So it was I hated it. I really hated it. I didn't want to release it, but I know that I needed to for the players to look at. And the information was solid. It's just if you could get through listening to it. And the feedback on that was, I got a fair amount of people being I couldn't listen to this, and I fully got it. I hated that I had to do it. So I think that'll be something that I want to set up for very high quality, well-recorded, all B-roll footage to, show people with active examples doing that sort of stuff, which is something we'll be doing more with the tactics side of videos as I get into Fish of Fury and Tetras and Piranhas and, whatever else. Actually having B-roll footage of me moving stuff around on a table so you can see what I'm talking about. So I'd like to do that better. Sponsor mats on tables. So Irresistible Force gave me a bunch of objective markers. Unfortunately, I forgot to get those on the front tables for the first day because I was so run off my feet. And obviously, as a sponsor, if you put money forward to, have that sort of stuff visible, not having it there is a big deal. So that is something that I will never make the mistake on again because I appreciate Irresistible Force and Art of War and everybody else way too much to fuck with their investment in my channel or my events or whatever else. So that is a big one that I will learn from for future events. Learning BCP, I've already gone over the event merch stall. We went through a place in Australia called Officeworks, and they fucked us. We had a bunch of extra merch items, which we've now got sitting around that didn't come in time. And so Chelsea and I were actually running around at like 9 p.m. night before the event, trying to just get something that was there, as well as the Tau tokens that went on pre-sale there, which are the Observers tokens that I've made up. A bunch of different things that we would have had as little like value adds for players to pick up at the event. We didn't have, and as a result, our little merch stall looked kind of just like dingy and shit. And I hated that because I could be a little bit of a perfectionist in that way. So that's definitely something that we will plan out our merch stall much, much earlier and assume that the worst is going to happen with the supply chain rather than just expect everything to go well. And hygiene, I mentioned earlier. Yeah, it was great info in that video. Just the audio made it hard. 100%. Yeah, as a creator, as a little bit of a perfectionist, I was not happy releasing that video. I just had to swallow my pride and do it and hope that my viewers wouldn't lynch me for it because, picking up dice fails was the best takeaway from it. That one is actually a really big one. Not a lot of people realize that. Guys, pick up your failed dice, not your successes. Nobody will question or think that you are cheating by picking up more failures than you should have. If somebody quickly picks up the successes so you can't see it, they are going to be like, hey, I didn't get a chance to see those dice. I don't know that that's the correct amount. And there have even been times where, like, Tau player, again, if I'm rolling a Crisis brick, it's 66 shots. Split between 54 from the Crisis team, 12 from the Commander, using Cyclics, obviously. Though I do have something to talk about in my my event that I just won list, where I tried Crisis suits with Plasmas, and I've got some thoughts. Anyway, if I'm doing that, I will actually get my opponent, hey, can you look over my roll tray? Let me know if there are any dice that I don't see. Because when you've got so many there are times that I have almost missed a 2 because my brain has just seen a third pip when there hasn't been one. And I will get my opponent to participate with me. And before I pick up anything, I'll just go, okay, cool. This looks okay to me. Does that look okay to you before I pick up these dice and start doing my next thing? And it has avoided so many goddamn problems. So I hope that everybody keeps doing that. There are so many like good table behaviors that we can get into that aren't even people doing it on purpose. It's just when you don't think about it, it doesn't really like track until somebody says it and then you have a light bulb moment. And actually it was Alex Anglazos, which I'm probably butchering his last name again, the Art of War coach that helped me set up all of this. He was the one who was talking to me about that. And I'm like, I was doing that anyway without thinking about it, but that is fucking great information. And the amount of times I forgot how many crits it was. Yeah. So having them in there so you can place 2 dice down next to them for your double explodes in Kao Yun, super helpful. Anyway, so that is my list of, keep doing good stuff. It's not exhaustive by any measure, but there are a fair few things, and it gives you guys a look into just how with content, with running events, with anything else, I will be super critical of myself. And there are plenty of people that are like, nah, dude, this was a great event. We loved it. Like, whatever. But I will still push for things that I can do better because, well, we'll never achieve perfection. But at the very least, people will still keep showing up to my events if I am always doing the right thing, and even if I fuck up. And this was actually something I made a misruling. There was a GSC player who I didn't have all of the information from them, and when he came up, he was a little bit dejected in some of the later rounds. And I was having a chat with him because I could tell there was something going on with him. He's not a native English speaker, so there might have been a little bit of when it was initially being explained, there could have been a little bit lost there. But it turns out I had misunderstood the information that him and his opponent were trying to put forward and made a bad ruling. One of the things I did, because that definitely would have affected his games, and I wanted him to still have a great time and come to other events and everything, I organised for a voucher from our sponsor for him. So at the very least, and he was like, nah, I don't think it changes my games. I still think I lose the ones that I lost, which was really great of him to have that opinion, but it was a point of personal pride. I'm big on integrity and making sure you own your own shit. So, yeah. So, Let's go into... I'll go through some of the best and worst painted, because this one was great. Obviously, this was our worst painted winner. This went to Feud. His daughter had helped him paint this, and it just... There was nothing that came close to the... The more you look at it, the worse it gets. Where there are some attempts for the green, but then there's also green here. There's haphazard, like, metal. And we didn't even get to take, like, full shots of everything around. And we kind of loved that it was also, like, a father-daughter project that he was also submitting to roast himself, which was really cool. And then we had, what's another one? Now, this one was Liam's, again, the guy who came second that is now on my team. Booyah, let's get it. Who put this in for Best Painted. This one was really cool. This was, I think this was a Lord Solar proxy. Don't quote me on that, I could be wrong. But like the attention to detail, the minefield, the wire, the face mask, the horse detail, just absolutely loved it. Our tournament's always WYSIWYG. So usually, yes. I got people, though, to email me beforehand to sort of chat about any of their proxies. So, like, I have a billion emails from people wanting to, you know, like, rule of cool stuff and just, like, alternate sculpts, I'll never really have a problem with. My main two stipulations were it must be the same dimensions as the GW model and it must be on the same base size. As long as you satisfied those, there was wiggle room for what you were bringing to the table. Obviously, I wouldn't let people bring, like, you know, one of the old little brick dreadnoughts as a Primaris dreadnought, the Redemptors. But, like, as long as you were using it was just, like, an alternate sculpt from another creator that you liked or something, same dimension, same base size, I generally didn't have a problem. If you were looking at WYSIWYG for weapons and that sort of thing, it wasn't too much of a big deal for me because we also were being very new player friendly. That if you had different weapons on there, generally speaking, everybody just shot for having the exact same weapons on all of their units. I know that, like, the Crisis units had no split loadouts. And so, you know, I would say to them, the start of every round, you will make a point of saying to your opponent, this is what's on my list. Here is the list on BCP or the app or whatever else. I've cleared it with Jay. All of these weapons are X profile. There is no difference between them. And so that clears up a lot of stuff. Where it becomes murky and grey, and I wouldn't let it, is if, like, we had at the end of 9th, where we had, like, a burst cannon, a cyclic, a plasma on a Crisis unit. That one you would need to have modeled or have every single one of your units exactly the same. Because where you run into problems is where you have split war gear. And even I got caught out with this in my first year. I forgot about a shield gen unit actually not having a target lock because I'd been fucking around with my lists and playing them differently. And I forgot about that one piece of war gear and that led me into a problem. And I fully understood that because that was important and I copped that one on the chin. So that's where WYSIWYGing can be important, but when you're splitting up different pieces of your loadout, it can get confusing unless you've just played like 100 reps on the list and there's no dramas. So yeah, that one, worst case scenario, always talk to your TO. Always clear things with your TO. If you're doing stuff above board, in my experience, TOs are really, really good. There is the All-Father's father himself. My dad actually came to surprise me at the event. So he was having a chat there while we were going around. He was just obviously dicking around on his phone. What are people doing for mass sibs? It's so hard to get enough from GW Commanders for all your suits. Yeah, somebody actually worked it out. In Commander boxes alone, you would have to spend about $1,600 Australian to get enough sibs for a 6-man Crisis unit. Ain't that fun? So what I would say is that, like, I have a bunch of 3D printed stuff. Big shout out to one of my patrons, who I won't name publicly because I don't know if there's any ramifications for that. But obviously he was just doing it for personal. He sent it to me. It wasn't a transaction or anything. But he sent me just like a bag of sibs. Before that, I would use weapons that relatively looked like it, and I would just do the same thing where I would say to my opponent, hey, like, obviously I've got some secondhand models, they were glued by the previous owners, that sort of stuff. I've cleared it with the TO, everything is just sibs. The Crisis can hold 3, the Commander can hold 4. I'd just go with that, and if the TO had any sort of a problem, you know, obviously I would chat with them, work out the best way to do things, but being up front, in my experience, mitigates more than any other thing that you can do, aside from just having the correct things WYSIWYG'd if you've got access to it. So, yeah. Loved having Dad there. It was really, really great to see him. Obviously, because of my lifestyle, being in the army and moving around a lot and everything else, I've probably spent the most time away from my family out of any of my siblings. So yeah, it was really great that I got to see him. Unfortunately, couldn't see Mum, but she had just had surgery done on her knee. So yeah. This one was put in by Nick. Now, this was a Chaos Knights model where I think he had 3D done all of this, where you got this big ass, like, it's like a fluid blood, like from, reminds me of Thor: The Dark World, where, like, you have that, like, the crystalline red blood sort of thing. So his was really cool. He put a lot of effort into the snow base as well. What else do we have? This one, basically just Nurgle. This was just a manifestation of sickness, which turned into a Chaos Knight. And then obviously a bunch of boys just down on the bottom. So good effort there. Duke put in his, I don't know what Gene Steel Occult model that is, but obviously it's got some decent detail around the place. You can see some of the plates on the inside there. This was our best painted winner, which was really, really cool. Look at the friggin' detail. Can I actually take this in at all? Yeah. Look at the detail this guy put into his Squiggoth. And he had 2 of these in his list. It was amazing. But just like the battle damage on the plate, the eye and the teeth that you can see in there, just the detail he put in on the scales and the depth that they had. He also had, and he was out for this one, but he also had a boy in there that was really, really well painted as well. So, and he's done every single rivet. Every single rivet on the Squighog was painted to a good quality. So there was actually a lot of very, very spirited debate on who would get best painted. The Squiggoth and the Lion and Princey's Bumblebee were at the top of it. We had Mitchell put in best painted with his Angron. So you can see like a decent sort of like pinkish sort of wings going back down to red. A lot of golds. The skull's done really, really well. We had Abby, who, wait, is that old man Abby? Is that like, has he got a beard? I can't tell if that's a beard or if that's mechanical. But either way, love the bone sword, love some of the stuff that they've done there. And also it was really cool, just like his dad was there for that as well. And he doesn't know anything about the 40k sphere, so being able to show him that there are people that have put hours upon hours upon hours into these models. And there is a large amount of pride that comes with it. So this is Princey's Bumblebee Knight, and he has won so many painting awards in the past, and you can see why. The transfer sheets, the spray that he's done, especially like up close, obviously you can see the paint a little bit more, but then further out, it just looks so incredible for the spray job that he's done. He's even done very realistic sort of like the scorching that you can get on the front of flamers, where the metal sort of changes a little bit with continued fire thrown from it. His entire army looked amazing. Like, this wasn't just one model. He had done every single one, which looked really fantastic. Bumblebee Knight is sick. Bumblebee Knight is sick. So, yeah, he got, I think... Oh, no, he won a different prize category, so he wasn't actually able to get the commendation that we wanted to do for him. So the commendation ended up going to the player who did the Lion, which looked really good. So here is a Knights player who's put in theirs, obviously looking really good with the silver. The very classic, like, Bretonian sort of colours, which I kind of loved. And then he also had a pilot on the inside, which I thought was really, really cool. Like, a lot of attention to detail was put on that, which was sick. The next one, very metallic sort of colours, which looked really, really cool. I think this is the one that also had the Walker. Yeah, had the actual, I think it's, I want to say Canis Rex, but please don't shoot me, Knights players, if I got that wrong. Then we had Matt Lane's Drukhari, and these are always a pleasure to look at. So Matt's boats and everything, he's done such a good, like, gradient of colours as you're going down from it. And, like, the wings, every part of the model just looks so good. Like, look at the, I think this is the court. Like, that's one of the members of the court. Look at the face. Look at the face where he's actually done, like, that glossy, what's the stuff for the Elder? The Spirit Stones. That Spirit Stone sort of look. Really, really loved it. And this was his entire army that he put in. Like, these guys looked really, really great. We had Alex Smith putting in his Angry Roan. He also put in, I want to say that that's a cultist, but still the level of detail that he put in. Look at the muscular sort of stuff that he's got. David M put in his Morven Val. Now, he actually won the Fuck the Meta award because he brought sisters. He was the least represented faction, and he was head-to-head with the AdMech player, but the AdMech player, Chris, finished bingo super quickly. So he was knocked out of contention, which meant that we didn't even have to flip a coin for it. The sisters player got the Fuck the Meta award. Alex Englezos put his, I want to say Morlock or Trigon forward. It's a looped bit of video. I didn't realize that. So yeah, obviously like a really big model. He put it down. He's like, I'm not expecting to win anything, but at least you'll have more content for it. So I appreciated that. Todd Spencer, that was his Orc Boys that he put in. I think these were ones that he painted as a kid. So he just brought those up, and I think this was supposed to be worst painted. And then best painted was his Lion, which this guy looked incredible. And because Chelsea and Rachel, bless them, they have not been around a ton of 40k. They're like, oh man, this guy brought whatever Lannister from Game of Thrones, the dad. And I'm like, oh boy, you missed out on all of the memes when this model first got released. But like, love the detail on this one. Even the purity seals, he actually has the writing on them. So he did really, really well. Also, just a really, really, really great bloke. Really hoping to see him at more of my tournaments. He actually dropped into the tournament that I won on the weekend. We're having a bit of a chat. Tywin Lannister, that's it. So, yeah, I don't know how people paint this well. I'm super jealous. I want to paint like this. I was making jokes the whole weekend, and I even had it on some of my release media where I'm like, yeah, and for all you fucking unicorns that can actually paint well, there's an award for you too, I guess, when I was talking about the worst painted. Then we had Nick put in this, I want to say Dark Angels, but at the very least, I think he's an infiltrator or something. So really good detail on this one as well. Votan, I loved the fluoro axe. I'm a big fan of the female heads. A lot of my Votan actually have the female heads on like the Hearthkin and everything else. I actually really, really love that there's that sort of diversity in the army. It's also, I'm doing up my Sisters of Battle, so I'll kind of have like half, like I'll have an Imperium army. I will have 2 Xenos armies. Oh no, I've got Grey Knights as well. I'll have 2 Imperium armies. Oh no. I'm at risk of becoming an Imperium player. But yeah, really, really loved this model. And the red eyes looked really good too. Really like sort of void, mutated sort of dwarf, which was really cool. Really, really cool. This Farsight, I loved the attempt that they had at trying to do the glowing sort of plasma. This one, I think it probably had just a little bit too much put onto it. If they had a bit more detail into the shield, I think this one could have been in contention because they had some great line work on the rocks and everything else. And I've also tried to do a little bit of that plasma glow on mine. Mine, I think I've done too little, and there's probably a little much on the sword, but still like a really fantastic attempt at their Farsight. Doubles down on tower expenditure. I think, I don't know, maybe I have to pick up a Chaos Army just to balance it out so I don't get called a filthy Imperium player. So, yeah, and then this was Elliot Hislops. He had actually cleared these with me before. These were his, I believe, broadside units from... I think I actually follow this person on Instagram. I think it is... let me go on to it. Piper Makes, I think it is. Piper Makes 40k or... why aren't you coming up? Of course, it shows it when I'm not really looking. And then the second I actually want to find it, it doesn't have it. No, nothing's showing up. But I'm pretty sure it's Piper Makes. So he had this one submitted. I don't know if this was for best or worst painted because we didn't have a tag on that one. We also had Sean put in his Nurglings, which I thought were really, really cool. Really well done. A lot of detail on the little boys with just like the red guts coming out, some of them being green, which is very Nurgle. Really, really loved it. And that was our painting competition. So then let's talk about... Buy some raffle tickets. Okay, that's the last plug, I swear to God. So we had a really, really stacked lineup. When we make the Emperor join the greater good, that's the dream. That's the dream right there. So we had, after drops and everything else, I believe we had 60-something players. We had 61 players after drops. There were some people who had to drop like day one, not really sure why. There were some that were having like some health issues, which was fine. Big shout out to Harley who took the spoon, who is actually one of my patrons and a really, really great guy. This was one of the first events he's been able to get to because he just had a kid, which congrats to him. And he's one of the knobs as well, which is, you know, one of the teams I get on with, probably the best because there are just so many like great people there. And then we had actually Eva was named overwhelmingly as our best and fairest, which was really great. She's one of the few female players that are in the circuit. She won by 2 votes, and every single one of her opponents was so quick to name her as best and fairest. Which was really, really cool. Really, really cool. So she ended up picking that up. Unfortunately, Jordan McGregor was having, I think he was a little bit sick on day 2, which was really a shame. I really love having Jordan at events or playing against him. He's such a great guy. So let's have a look at, like, we've got Brody Middleton is the Team Australia player that had Tyranids. His list, as well as Alex's list, got previewed on Tactical Tortoise, as well as Goonhammer wrote an article about it where they named us as a major, which was, I don't know if it's a typo or if I am actually classed as accidentally running a major, but there we go. So he was running the Swarm. Deathleaper, Neurotyrant as the Warlord, Turvagon, Gargoyles, 5 sets of Termagants, 2 Exocrines, a Lictor, a Neurolictor, these nuts, and Pyrovores, Ripper Swarms, and Venom Thropes. And then contrast that with the final round where he was against Alex, where Alex was running what he calls a meme, but he accidentally got rank 1 in the world with. So he's running the Deathleaper, Neurotyrant, Old One Eye. He's running 1 unit of Termies, unit of Biovores, a unit of 2 Carnifexes, which Old One Eye goes into, which are apparently really, really great output. I actually need to study my NIDs a little bit more, it turns out. Then running a Maliceptor, a triple Morlock, triple Neurolictor, Pyros, triple Ripper Swarm, double Trigons. Now, I walked past one of his opponents, an Astra Militarum player that was playing heavy tanks and artillery batteries. Dude did not even touch his deployment line for the entire game. Because every single point, he had like really fast stuff running up the board getting in his face. And Morlocks and Trigons, I believe both of them can come up within 3 of your models. So you've got these big-ass monsters just sitting right in front of you. And like, you know, AM tanks can kill off 1 Morlock or 1 Trigon. But if you're staring down the barrel of 5 of them, that becomes a much harder thing. So, Carnifex is only amazing in Invasion Fleet. So I think he was actually doing that. Yes, he was. Sustained on their reroll Daka. Yep. Only Trigons within 3. Yeah. So he would have been playing the Morlocks as either like normal deep strikers or rapid ingress targets or just sort of something to run up the board. If you want to watch Alex play, he played drunk as fuck round 3. It's one of the funniest games I think I've ever watched in my life. And round 5, he was also on stream against Brody Middleton for the first place. All of this was on the Australis Tabletop Wargaming Network, which is Scotty. He is on Twitch. He also uploads to YouTube. You would also remember I did some live streams with him in the lead up to the event, which was really, really cool. So if you want to watch those games, the VODs will be coming out on Scotty's YouTube as he collates them over the coming weeks. But you can also go and look at day by day on the Twitch channel because they get held as VODs immediately. So these two lists are what went into for the first. Liam, who went on Astra Militarum, the friggin' Giga Chad. He was running the Lord Solar. He was running Platoon Command Squad, Tank Commander, one Infantry Squad, a Bane Sword, which is just so much damage, Earthshaker, Lehman Russ Executioner, a Vanquisher, double Rogel Dawn, and a set of Scout Sentinels. So obviously doing quite well to pilot this undefeated. It is very tank heavy, but I believe I was chatting with him. I think the Lord Solar is one of the pins where he can give orders to both types, whereas normally I think it's just the tank commander that can order tanks. I may be misquoting there. I love the name of it, Tanks Go Burr, which is really, really cool for a list archetype. And then you had, coming in fourth, Josh Hines, another really, really friendly individual, really great to have at any of your events, representing Big Dice Energy, which are Dice Arcade in Sydney. It's sort of their team. His NIDS list, he was running, what are we looking at? So he was running Invasion Fleet as well. Death Leaper, Old One Eye, Hive, Neuro, Wing Tyrant Prime. Gargoyles, Biovore, double Neurolicted, these nuts. Double Pyovore. He was actually running Tyranny Warriors with melee bioweapons, and I would actually be really curious how he felt about these. Because I remember watching Trevi on Tactical Tortoise talk about it, and this was an interesting little tech piece. You put I believe you put the Wing Tyrannid Prime in with them. And that's his sort of leader unit. Then Ripper Swarm, Carnifexes, because of course, two HaruspeXes and double Maliceptor. And what I know about the Maliceptor is they are such good damage. He feels they're broken. So was there a Tau list that ranked? Let's have a look, because we had what is going to be the captain of Team New South Wales and the guy that I was constantly yo-yoing with for top place in Tau in Australia for the longest time. Will Wyckoff, I think, was the highest ranked Tau player. And he had a very, very rough day two. He went into the players who took, I think it was second and fourth or something. Purple People Eaters, apparently. Now, Will, even though he had a rough day two, Will is one of the best Tau players that I think I could point out within New South Wales. Very, very good Tau player. There's a reason he got named the captain of New South Wales for this year. So he was running Farsight. He was running Shadow Sun. He has got double commander with Cold Star. One of them with Precision of the Patient Hunter. One Exemplar of the Cow Yun. All rocking Cyclics. And then a Firesight team just for what we know about abusing Lone Operative. You can put them up in a really high obnoxious place in the center ruins. You can just let them hold your backfield objective because no one's going to shoot them off, and you can just screen with your body. Crisis Battlesuit team with Cyclics, a 3-man... No. Huh? No, yeah, this is a 3-man. Yeah, so a 6-man with Cyclics, 3-man with Cyclics, 3-man with Cyclics, double Ghost Kill, triple Piranha, which I love, rocking the Fusion Blaster, and double Stealth Team. He's gone for all of the accoutrement that you would normally have, though he hasn't opted for the Fusion Gun on the Stealth Shazvra. He's just kept it with the Burst Cannon, and then he's got double Tetra. So basically, this is an all-comer list which will be able to play the mission extremely well. Abuses a fair amount of lone op. The crisis units are incredibly effective. Obviously, the Commander in Cold Star with Precision of the Patient Hunter. I'm going to have a chat to Will. I'm going to see how he felt about that one, because what we usually saw with this was a solo commander that would come down and just be something which just blew a unit off the table that you didn't expect somebody to get a little 60mm base in. Because it's very hard to screen against. But I would imagine he was putting them with the crisis units. Though there is a world where you actually do leave a Cold Star and Farsight unattached and use them as rapid ingress targets and just solo annoying tech pieces. But I don't think he would have done that. I think he probably would have put them with the actual bodyguard units. Cyclic Ion Rakers on the Ghost Kills, which is what I tend to run, Twin Fusion Blasters as well. Battlesuit Support System, because you'd be crazy not to, because fall back and shoot. Nobody cares about the smoke keyword. Nobody. Don't ever be like, oh no, if I fall back with the ability to shoot, I can't use smoke. Oh no. So that was our higher ranked Tau player. Then we had, I'm really, really proud of Nathan Bugman. I was at teams with him at Steel City where we played nothing but Team Australia teams. They were actually our only 2 losses to the Team Australia teams, which was really cool. He was running Eldari in a post-nerf world. Oh my god. I'll catch up with chat just real cool. Kind of something amazing invasion fleet. Yep, saw that. Was it a tail list? He feels they're broken. Fair enough. That'll be the Tyranid Warriors that we're talking about. Hashtag join knobs. I care about the smoke keyword. You shouldn't. There's so few things that get +1 to hit at the moment where it makes a difference for the guys. And it's only if you fall back in a turn you lose the smoke keyword. Look at how it's worded. It's not to equip this you lose the smoke keyword. It's this unit can fall back and shoot, and if it does, it loses the smoke keyword. So you really only do it for when you get tagged in melee, which is, I guess it can happen a bit, but yeah. And I realize you were probably memeing with you care about the smoke keyword, but fuck you. I'm going to over-explain it anyway. So teams with a question mark. He went for the Autarch Wayleaper because this guy is still amazing. An Avatar of Cain, a Farseer on foot, a Farseer on Skyrunner, Spirit Seer, triple Fire Prism because they're still amazing at 180 points. Sweeping Hawks unit, Warp Spiders, Warp Spiders, Warp Spiders, and a 10-man Wraithguard brick. So essentially all he's done is drop what used to be the staple, which was the Wraith Knight, chuck a Avatar of Cain, which is incredible, into the list, load up on Fire Prisms for your anti-tank, and then just have a bunch of little things that are going to play the game so obnoxiously, and then use things like your movement shenanigans, all your, what's the name of their movement thing? I should know this. Phantasm, that's the one. So yeah, really proud of him, because even in a post-nerf world, pulling out a 4-1, and I also know that he had probably one of the worst games he's ever had. I was watching this player like a friggin' hawk after his game, where the person was just basically having like a meltdown. And yeah, so didn't come of anything in later rounds, and the guy dropped at the end of day 1. I don't think I'll be inviting this player back to any of my future tournaments, but to Nathan's credit, he handled himself so well. He just said what he had to say to me as the TO, wasn't attacking the guy or anything. He was just like, that was just a horrendous game. Walked out, got himself a beer, had a chat with a couple of people, and I did not get a single piece of negative feedback about Nathan. It was the opposite, which just shows that his mental stayed incredibly strong, even when having an opponent basically shit on his tournament experience, which it makes me sad that happened at my event. But at the same time, it's just a credit to him. And then even after that, he still took it to a 4-1. So big ups to Nathan. He is a great dude. He's a meta chaser. He's just really slow. So then we had Orcs taking a 4-1 as well. Kyle running a very similar list to the one that I had played against him. I think it took a little bit of a hit, but still just so much stuff. 2 Beast Bosses, Mozrog, Nob on Smasher Squig, 2 War Bosses, and then look at the number of units. Look at the number of units in here and look at the number of trucks. Even when you peel open a truck, you've got boys getting out, and there are so many of them that you basically need to outplay the game. Love that he chucked in Storm Boys rolling for if a dude dies after they advance is just friggin' hilarious. Gretchen unit, because they're great for scoring. This is just a hard scoring list. It may not table you, depending on how the war goes, but at the very least, it will play every part of the mission. So really, really good one. I think this was based on a WTC list, which performed very well, and I think it's been doing very well in his hands. Nathan Princey should have been higher than this. I'll say that right now. I said it in my review of my pairing metrics that I will improve for the next one. Nathan is probably one of the best players in the circuit, not just because he's a good player, but because he's a fantastic opponent. I have never been face rolled over the friggin' table and still felt okay about myself as much as I do against Nathan. He's just such a nice dude. He should have been in 4th because he went into the final round undefeated. So he had a very strong strength of schedule. He played incredibly well. And even, in the final round against the best of the best, taking a 54-point loss. That is nothing to sneeze at. He still played incredibly well. Chaos Knights were very, very represented. So were Chaos Space Marines at our top tables. Until you roll that one, no, even then it's fucking hilarious. That's why you take the Orcs, because they're just like absolute comedy gold. Let's check out Chris O'Neill's list. He was the only AdMech player, and he was running a very, very high pressure list. So, triple Tech Priest Dominus, 2 Tech Priest Manipulus, these nuts, 1 unit of 10-man Skitarii Vanguard, a bunch of Dune Riders, and I believe these are the party buses. Then you've got 3 units of Corpuscari Electro Priests, 2 units of Fulgurite Electro Priests, so just a bunch of melee boys that just run at you and fuck you up. 2 3-man chickens, a Scorpius Disintegrator in the back, and then a Calidus Assassin, because why wouldn't you? He did very well with this list. Very, very well. I'm very proud of him as one of my players at the event. You look at even his losses. I mean, one of his wins was quite tight, 58 points. But he did very, 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 very well with the party bus list. I think this means that we can safely say that AdMech need to be nerfed. They're too good. Let's get him out of here. We had one player and he went 4-1. That is enough of a representation. Let's get him off the top tables. Chris Wright playing his Raven Guard. Chris, if you do not know, is arguably the best player in Australia, at least one of. And he brought a Bouncy Boys, very fluffy list. We reviewed this beforehand on Scotty's channel, and we were interested to see how it goes. And he only had a loss when we were looking at round 3. So I'm actually going to go to round 3 pairings. I am keen to see who he played and who actually managed to take that win off of him, because it's no small feat. Chris is a very, very good guy, very good player. It was Will Wyckoff. So, to everybody that I was saying before, even though Will went 3-2, he had a very, very rough day 2, and he took a game with Tao off one of the best players in Australia that plays for Ethos. So, yeah, just to show how good Will is, this is a monster matchup just here. And actually, I'll point out for Nathan, his only loss was against Ben Tinker, who ended up having a massive tournament. Ben Tinker, if you guys don't know, is the best rank 1 Chaos Space Marines player in Australia. He has done so well, and he's sitting right there. So let's have a look at Ben Tinker's list. Chris is my only lost great player. Chris is a great player. He really is. Alex from Art of War is my sugar daddy. So obviously, Ben Tinker is a ChadMech player. ChadMech are, I think, the highest ranked team in Australia at the moment, or at least in New South Wales. I'll have to see how they go for Australia. But Nathan Princhy, Ben Tinker, Alex Engelsos, all from ChadMech, some really, really good dudes. So he went double Chaos Lord with Undivided. He went a Warpsmith Undivided. 2 Cultist Mobs, because those are just amazing. Chosen Mob, because they're amazing. He went 2 of them. He went triple Forge Fiend, because Forge Fiend go burr. A unit of Oblitz, a unit of Possessed, 2 Venom Crawlers, a unit of Warp Talons, and a Changeling for some lone op abuse and some play. Stop dodging me, Carl Pearson. So, yeah, really, really great CSM list. Really great to see the rank 1 player come in and do so well at yet another event. So, I'm sure this is only good. And actually, we found out post-event, we were, I think, the second highest number of ITC points for an event was our one. So, Brody Middleton got to get a shitload. Liam going to get a shitload. All of these players are going to get a lot of ITC points because, it's what I do. Even when I do something for the first time, just making it rain. I almost hurt myself saying that. I kind of wanted to punch myself. So Todd Spencer, he was the guy that came out to my tournament yesterday. He painted the lion, and he had a little bit of a rough first day, but brought it back in the round 3 and then day 2. So Azrael, Apothecary Biologist, he didn't even have the lion in the list. He just brought it for the painting thing, which, what a giga chat. He got a commendation award out of it. So very, very much worth bringing that extra model. So Apothecary, Captain in Gravis Armor, Librarian in Phobos, Primaris Apothecary, a 6-man Aggressor Squad, 2 units of Deathwing Knights, a Hellblaster Squad, 2 units of Inceptors. Now he's gone for the Plasma Exterminators. Infiltrator, a Land Raider Crusader, and a Raven Wing Darkshroud, which I don't even know what that is. Somebody fill me in that knows Marines. So, yeah. Really, really enjoyed chatting to Todd, and I really hope, because I think this might have been his first GT as well. And going to a GT like this, and going 3-2 with a positive win rate, that is really, really, really positive. Now, Tim Matsuda, if I'm thinking of the person I'm thinking of, is the most jacked and beautiful man that has ever existed. I don't know what this guy does, but I'm pretty sure he's drunk from the fountain of youth and become an anime protagonist in the process. Like, dude is basically Goku. I actually had, I think it was in my round 1, I'm like walking around for the thing and my camera goes past him, but then it pans back and I'm like, oh my god, you are like the biggest dude in existence. So yeah, we also had Pete O'Neill, who actually went 4th at the Oceanic Championship this weekend, just gone. Big ups to Pete. Rocky as Thousand Suns, one of his only losses was actually to his brother Chris. And I got to find out when they were younger, playing 40k, through a series of events, and I'm going to make it seem super skewed, Chris broke Pete's collarbone with a power slam, I think it was. So you could guess the brotherly love that exists there. But yeah, Pete and Chris, I love them both. They are absolutely amazing individuals. So he was rocking Ahriman, not on the disc, just the walking version. Exalted Sorcerer on disc of Zinch, an Infernal Master, Magnus the Red, Thousand Sun Sorcerer, and another one on top of that. He took, I think... No, he didn't take every enhancement. He took Lord of Forbidden Law, Athenaean Scrolls, and Arcane Vortex. So obviously, Thousand Suns still very hero heavy. They are some of their best units. And then he went full into Rubric Marines. I think he went full Warp Flamers. The 10-man didn't even go for a Soul Reaper. They just went for the... That was Ahriman's unit. And as far as I know, he was just deleting pricks left and right with this unit. Because you just turn off armor saves. And then you Overwatch, you do whatever. Like, I don't know if you can turn off armor saves for Overwatch, but even just in the shooting phase when you come down, like, you just delete anything. Even Custodes you're not scared of. Because you put them on a 4-up invulnerable save and just go, cool, here's 1 billion wounds. Like, have fun, dude. So a bunch of rubrics. He brought a Rhino for the utility that brings. Double Mutalith, because I still think they're amazing as well. And then some Zangor and Light, and they just sat backfield or went for objective grabbing or whatever else. Really, really great list. I think this is the one that he took to OCC, but I'll have to check in with him. I might even see if I can get an interview with him, because that'll be really cool. Matching Pete and Chris, the most fun you can have at a tournament? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Thankfully, there were no brotherly spats this time around, but I do know that Chris was spiking his dice super hard, so Pete had to go and have a breather afterwards, because I've been spiked by Chris as well, and you just sit there in disbelief. You're like, how the fuck do you keep doing this? Like, okay, use my dice, and then he does it with my dice. And, like, we had a practice game here, actually, just, it was on the weekend, I think. And he's just, like, reverse rogue rolling from Paradise PD, because I told him about it and about the meme. And he started doing it, and the first dice he threw was a 6. And I'm like, oh, this doesn't bode well. And then he diced me on Death Guard, the fucking prick. So, yeah, we had a lot of really, really good people. I was sad that Gary had a little bit of a rough run. He went 3-2 still. Which is a really, really great showing. Will Wyckoff had a really rough match. What else did we have? So that's gone all the way down to the bottom. Jack with his Chaos Knights. Obviously, 2 losses there, still finishing 3-2. One thing that I loved from him, from his Chaos Knights list, was the double Skull Cannon. Because, and I don't know the exact interaction here, but the Skull Cannons at some point or another force a Battle Shop test onto units that you shoot. And that will then directly interact with the Chaos Knights rule. Because I know the Chaos Knights players aren't super happy about it's either their army rule or their detachment rule. But having the 2 Skull Cannons is extra shooting and also interacts with their army rule in a way that I don't know if GW intended or not. But yeah, really, really cool. And obviously Jack's just great fucking quality. Like, I love having a chat to Jack. I met him at Masters last year. He ended up coming second, I think, only just getting beaten out by Alex for the win. And yeah, just really lovely dude. Really, really lovely dude. So yeah, he had a really good little tech piece. It would, did I just say pieced? Oh my god, I've been talking for too long. Good little tech piece. And he's also got something cooking with Nurglings, which I can't wait for him to unveil. That'll be really cool. So yeah, that's basically everything, guys. Do you guys have any questions for me? Because I'm going to be looking at maybe playing some Darktide, even doing that on stream, because I've been playing that a ton. And obviously the way that YouTube streaming works, if I just do it now, it's a part of the same video and there's not the thumbnail or whatever, and it makes the stream like 50 hours long for people that, you know, don't want to watch that much of it. Also, had a great time talking to Zach. Big ups to Zach. He helped me out so much with packing up and everything else. Just a really lovely dude. Why is it so many Chaos Knights players are really nice guys? That seems backward. That seems really, really backward. But anyway. So, big announcements for me and my team. Obviously, Liam Ma has joined the Pantheon. Also, I managed to headhunt Adam Wisnowski. Now, if you haven't seen him, this dude is actually the biggest dude in existence. Like, this dude would fold me in half 50 times. He's also one of the nicest dudes I've ever met. I love Adam. So, I have now headhunted him. That will be his last event with Knobs. He has come over to the Pantheon, so really, really excited about that. I'm trying not to headhunt too much because, you know, I don't want any of the team leaders to think that I'm trying to steal players in a shitty way, but I am trying to build my own team, and mostly I'm just looking for people that, you know, that I get on with. People that I really, really like and have expressed even some form of a, you know, yeah, I'm looking to either participate in content or, you know, I like the idea of you throwing free shit at me. So, because I think there's a lot of people that'll probably sit in that boat. But I'm obviously not headhunting super hard because I don't want to disrupt the fragile balance that New South Wales has, because we genuinely do have an amazing circuit. So, yeah, so let's have a look at chat. Peter's more salt than the Dead Sea. Maybe sometimes. But also I love Pete, so I don't want to talk too much shit. Needs more War Dogs? Maybe. Shem's a trash sculpt. Which one's a trash sculpt? Are you talking the Skull Cannons? Because I think they're quite old, those ones. Zach, great opponent. Yeah, Zach is a really, really great guy. I just want to play with Stompy Robots. Was your round 5? Yeah, nice. Small calves, though? Wait, who has small calves? Are you talking to Adam? Nah, he doesn't skip leg day. He just goes hard on upper body day. Skull Cannons, yeah. Skull Cannons are a little bit of an older sculpt. Yeah, so don't forget, head to my website. There's a bunch of, like, stuff that you can get. Chell designed a bunch of different things. Now, this is all through Printify, so there may be certain things that are showing that they're available that afterwards might not be, where we've got printers in different countries and everything else, but obviously just check in with it. I don't have a ton of control being a smaller creator. Unfortunately, you don't tend to, but some of the stuff they're able to make for us is just really, really great. So yeah, and then we just got like little bits and pieces, little magnets and stuff. And then obviously, event tickets aren't under there. We are going Leviathan raffle, where you can win yourself a Leviathan box in full, a Magnature case, which is, I am never going to make another one of these fronts again. That will be a one of a kind. So if you're interested in that Magnature case, grab it. And the Chaos Demons Boarding Patrol for 3rd place. All of it going to getting me my own terrain so that I can do more GTs like this. And when I'm in control of everything and I'm not having to run around like a headless chook trying to get terrain, I can actually do a bunch of content on and maybe even make my own circuit within Sydney. Do teams and all that sort of stuff. Make New South Wales all the more competitive for it. So, yeah, Kyle, I appreciated everybody at the event. They all picked up some tickets. It was really great. We're looking good. The draw for the raffle will be Sunday coming at 6 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time. So whatever that works out for you guys to be, there will be a VOD afterwards. Chell and I are going to get on stream with some drinks. I apologize to everybody if you hadn't seen it. I did have to push the raffle back, so you didn't miss it yesterday. It just didn't happen. I put out posts everywhere, but obviously, you know, news can travel slowly and the algorithm does what it wants to do. But yeah, you all of the entry for these raffle tickets are going to a very, very good place to get me into the tournament scene proper. Because with the reception to this GT and just how much positive feedback I got from it, I'd love to run more. I would honestly love to run like 4 GTs a year, maybe a monthly RTT, build myself up to running a major, actually have like a 200 person event, have Uprising at the start of the year, have Pantheon Major in the middle of the year. So, and if you would like to help out with that more substantially than just the raffle tickets, obviously there is YouTube membership. There is my Patreon, where you can get access to coaching and the Discord and everything else. And all of that stuff adds to continually building the studio. You'll notice there's actually a proper green screen behind me right now where I can remove my background. We will have a DSLR cam set up because of my patrons. I am able to get a cam link to be able to properly get a DSLR camera into the computer. So there is, there's so much that I'm looking at doing, and it is exactly like it is this raffle, it's patrons, it's YouTube members, super chats, donations, all that sort of stuff. It all contributes to making something really, really amazing. So if you'd like to get your name on some stuff, check out the website, check out the Patreon. But guys, that's it for me. I think I'm going to swap the stream and I'm going to play some Dark Tide because I've been really loving it lately. So if you would like to join me for some of the best purging for the Emperor that you will ever see, stick around. Keep an eye on the channel. This stream will go down and then the next one will come up. I'll have to make a thumbnail quickly for it. So grab yourself a drink, get comfy. It'll be back up. Good morning from the UK. Good morning to you. Good afternoon from Australia. It is 4:30 p.m. here. And I'm about to get into some purging. And then I've got my WoW raid reclaim. We got Cutting Edge recently. We actually just cleared the Mythic raid. So we were really happy about that. For anybody who understands how big a deal that is, you obviously know how excited I am. Yeah, Dark Tide stream will be up very soon. Don't go anywhere. Thank you everybody for joining me. Thank you everybody who is watching this as a VOD post and making it this far. Love you all, and I'll see you for some Heretic Purging.